Hello students and good day to you all. Today it is the 22nd of February 2018 and this is our midweek market review for the current market status. And as usual, we'll start with the Bitcoin price. Going to the trading station. Let's open the Bitcoin chart. So let's first of all go over the last analysis that we gave you. It was over here. We said that we're expecting the market to drop down, then to fulfill an entire 5-wave cycle and to continue its downtrend movement to complete a corrective pattern structure. I remind you, this is the sketch that I gave you. I said that I'm expecting the market to drop down until this territory between the 9,000 to 10,000 level, and I said that I'm expecting the market to climb up to complete 5 waves movements, and from that position I'm expecting it to drop back down, and from this position I'm expecting it to regain its strength for a higher peak. Now, as you can see, we had a very high success rate in this analysis. In this territory over here, the only problem that we had is that we haven't received the completion of an identical wave for the A wave in terms of the C wave length. So let's go over that again. So I'd like to set some principle for our future analysis, just to describe the different way that movement is appearing on the Bitcoin price. Usually on a regular chart, basically analyzing stocks and currencies, and that we've got more information in the background, not a new asset, that it really forms a bit of a different structure. We are expecting to receive a specific measurement of movements, a specific measurements of structure. And I'm always mentioning that when I'm looking at a chart, I'm looking to see a completion of a specific structure. So in this case, again, looking at this structure specifically, we can say that our expectation was to receive a completion of an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave that will be approximately at the same length of the A wave. This is why you see the 1 digit over here. That is 100% in terms of length. So this was our expectation, as we are used to this structure on a variety of assets and even on this specific chart on the Bitcoin price. But what we can see on the Bitcoin price is that sometimes the market will not reach the 100% level, completing an identical structure, but will stay at a lower rate. And in this case, it made a movement toward the 50% of equivalent length to the A wave structure. And over here, we can see that the market already started to diverse its direction. Now, my analysis was over here. That was all I knew about the price. So from this position, the only way that I could have made some assessment was to look for an equivalent structure and not to make an assessment that will reach the 50 level or beyond that. That is our average and that is our target at every given position. Now in this case, indeed, as you can see, we've received the beginning of the uptrend, then a pullback toward the 50%, and from that position the market continued its uptrend movement. So that was the only difference between our analysis, our prediction, and the actual structure that we've received over here. So again, we were expecting the market to climb a bit higher, then receive a pullback in a corrective pattern, and from this position to continue its uptrend movement. Let's look at the entire structure that we've received on the entire 5 waves, as it seems like in this position, in this uptrend movement that we've received, we've completed the entire uptrend movement. So let's look at the higher time frame, the 4-hour chart. This entire structure that you can see over here, that began at the beginning of February, that was the 6th of February, we've received a 5-wave cycle of an uptrend movement. Let's erase all the additional information. Okay, so just to count that down, we've got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. Okay, so we've got 5 waves of an uptrend movement. Right now, this pullback, this downtrend structure, is basically a corrective pattern that corrects this entire structure. Now that is our initial assessment. Okay, if the market will break down significantly with a lot of strength and will cross beyond 60% of a corrective pattern, then we might take to consider this structure as an additional downtrend movement that will cross the $6,000 on a downside and will even drop lower. But right now, our assessment is that this is a corrective pattern, and this assessment is based on the larger structure. Okay, it's based on the completion of this structure. I remind you, we were expecting the market to drop down based on this A and B wave. We were expecting the market to drop down toward the 8,000, 7,000 level, and from this position indeed we can see that it penetrated toward the 6,000 and made a pullback. So in terms of our analysis, this is the completion of the downtrend movement. From this position and forward, we're expecting the market to continue its uptrend movement. Another thing that you can see is that we're basically having a very, very logical structure, because we can see that we've got a major downtrend trend line over here, and this trend line is making waves in terms of technical analysis. When other traders are looking at this trend line, they were expecting the market to drop down at this level. Let's erase the 5 wave structure digits and look at this over here. Okay, so we have a trend line of this specific corrective pattern. This trend line is signaling when we're crossing a specific structure and we're ready to move forward to a higher rate. So in this case, fear was penetrating the observance of other traders in this structure, and they had a problem in terms of psychology to move beyond this level. And again, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once we know that a lot of traders are paying attention to this trend line, then we can expect a lot of traders to express fear at this territory. Now again, our assessment is to see a bit of a corrective pattern over here. What we've received is the initial, a bit of an uptrend, another downtrend to complete an entire 3 waves, 1, 2, 3 cycle. And from this position, we're expecting the market to climb up and break the trend line, where we can see the structure appearing all over again and again and again in different examples. So again, our assessment right now is to see a corrective pattern. Now let's make an assessment based on the structure. What is the target that we can expect this chart to drop down to, and when we can expect this downtrend to complete its structure? So looking at the entire uptrend movement, we can divide that to scales, probability or Fibonacci scale, as you'd like to call it. And from this position, we can say that the usual pullback that we can see on major assets, not just the Bitcoin, is usually toward the 50 level, 50, 60, 1.8 level. This is the logical level that we can expect to receive this chart for. Okay, so I'm talking about this territory approximately. Again, we can see that in some cases we've got the 38%. In some cases it will even drop down toward the 72 and the 78%, but this is the average between 50 to 61.8%. Now all we can see over here is a completion of 5 waves. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right now we're forming the completion of the end of this structure. So our assessment is to see here a corrective pattern divided to 3 waves with an A, B, and C structure, and our assessment is again to see it dropping down toward the 50% level. Okay, so that will be a good place to catch an additional uptrend, but for now we see this structure for a downtrend potential for the next several days. We will deliver another analysis once we will see some logical structure completing this corrective pattern, and then we will be able to catch a lower rate for additional uptrend on the Bitcoin price. Let's move forward to the Ethereum, which I'm expecting to see approximately the same thing. So again, as you can see, we've got an uptrend, we've got a pullback, a beginning of a corrective pattern in this case, again in a structure of 5 waves right now, fulfilling the 5 wave of a downtrend movement. And again, we will make a correlated connection between the Bitcoin downtrend movement and the Ethereum, as long as we will give you another analysis during the end of this week or at the beginning of next week. Looking at the dollar index, we've talked about the completion of a downtrend movement and a pullback that we're expecting to receive. Indeed, we can see that the dollar gained some strength in this perspective, and you can see that it happened during the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last trading days, meaning from the beginning of the week when we've analyzed this structure. Right now, there's a bit of a question regarding this specific structure, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. We might see this as an A, B, and C wave before completing another downtrend movement, and only then seeing it climbing back up again. That is one analysis, and it's very logical based on this structure. On the contrary, we might see this structure at this position as a completion of the entire 5-wave movement, and then in terms of the uptrend, we're expecting to receive an A, B, and C structure, completing this entire corrective pattern. So we're in the middle of a crossroad over here, and my assessment is that we already saw this downtrend completing basically a double bottom, and from this position I'm expecting the market to climb up toward the 95 rate when I mentioned that at the beginning of this week. So a bit of an uptrend on the dollar is very logical when it comes down to weakness on behalf of the Bitcoin price. Again, I'm expecting the dollar to return to the downtrend once completing this structure, and therefore we've got correlation between a stronger Bitcoin price and a weaker dollar in the market. But that will be the only case if they are correlated based on this specific potential. And that will be it for this week. I'd like to wish you all the best with your trades. Obviously, have a pleasant weekend, and we will publish another update at the beginning of next week. I assume approximately Sunday or Monday. I'd like to wish you a very nice weekend. All the best with your trades, and bye-bye.